For some, the price of a cheeseburger is that of the change found on the bottom of your couch. Meanwhile, the price of a salad can range from 5 to even 20 bucks. So, for teenagers with limited amount of money, what does that mean for our diet and where our food comes from? I'm your host, Nathan Nguyen, and this is Podcast. Good evening, and to begin our conversation, I would like to introduce our guests, Samantha Stevens, Joe Edner, and Fabian Murillo. Since we're on the topic of food, Joed, who buys your food most of the time?
So when I do go grocery shopping, I usually go with my parents, and they're the ones who buy the food because they have the money. But since I am vegetarian, I have to accompany them every time they go grocery shopping because they are not vegetarian, and I have to inform them on foods that I can eat and foods that I cannot eat. And usually while I'm at it, I inform them on healthier alternatives to the foods they already buy.
What about you, Fabian? What kind of foods do you buy? Do you agree, Samantha?
I guess I sort of agree. When my family and I don't go out to eat, we do try to get the most healthiest option, organic food, non-GMO food, cage-free eggs, and we want to make sure that we're getting the best and healthiest option.
I agree. Whenever I go grocery shopping, I always look for the healthiest option. I buy whole grains and unprocessed meats, but oftentimes we might not have the sufficient funds to buy stuff like organic foods or higher quality grade meat. So I usually opt in for like GMO foods and regular vegetables because my parents always taught me to not waste my money and spend my money wisely. So, do you guys agree that the price is the determining factor of what you buy?
I 100% agree with that statement because just like you, I was brought up with the idea that always try to save your money wherever you can. And I was also brought up with the idea that an organic apple is the same as a GMO apple. They're both an apple at the end of the day. And while doing some research into this, I found out that there are some differences between both of them, but the differences outweigh the benefits of both of them. So they're at equal playing ground when it comes to purchasing. So I would have to say that when it comes to purchasing foods, I always opt in for the cheaper one. But what plays a bigger role in my decision is how the food is made or where it comes from or how the animal was treated.
So, how do you guys decide whether or not you should buy organic or when the time is right for you to buy the cheaper option?
For my family, we 100% go with the organic option. If it's like $10 more expensive, like if whatever the food is that you're getting is like a lot more than the cheaper option, the GMO option, we might go for the GMO option, but for the most part, we'll go with the organic because we know that it was grown without pesticides and that none of those chemicals are going to be in our bodies.
Do you guys believe you guys are responsible with how you spend your money?
Well, I'd like to say that I am pretty responsible when it comes to spending my money because I get my spending habits from my parents and they've always taught me to save money. So I always try to save money wherever I can or with whatever I can. And I think I use my money for good things. I don't use it to, like, most of the time I am out getting food from fast food places, and I always try to use my money for healthier alternatives.
So, Fabian, do you think how we are raised affects how our financial choices are today?
Yeah, I think that does have a determining factor in whether or not we purchase like these organic and non-GMO products. But there are some times where we kind of use our money responsibly and we purchase things that aren't like the most healthiest for us. And yeah,
I agree with what you say, Fabian, because I often find myself after school going with my friends and buying foods like McDonald's. How do you guys think we should inform other teenagers, or how do we help other teenagers spend their money wisely on stuff that's important, like our diet and our health?
I think one of the best things we could do is just to inform them. And the first step would be informing their parents. It is human nature to mimic others or mimic the people around you, especially your parents, since you grow up with your parents almost all your life. So I think the first step should be to inform the parents of what are healthy spending habits, healthy food choices. What is the difference between GMOs and organic? Is it really something they should consider, or is the price really a variable for them to consider in their decision making. And then after we inform the parents, then they can go on to inform their children about these decisions that we taught them how to make, and those children can then also copy their parents, so they'll be making better spending habits and decision making. And the other step is just to inform everyone about what food is and how it works with your body. So what happens when you eat something that's GMO or organic, or what happens when you eat something unhealthy versus eating something healthy. Those kind of things are the things we need to start doing to our youth and to our parents in order to change these lifestyle choices and break these bad spending habits.
And to add on to what Joed was saying, I think self-education is a big thing, because once I knew like that organic and GMO food existed, I just thought that like it's food is food, I get it at the store and I eat it. But once I knew that there's like a difference between how the food is grown, like difference in like environmental factors and like how it is in my body, I went and I did a whole bunch of research just so I would be self-educated, and I try to educate others, my friends and like other family members who don't really have knowledgeable like answers to their questions.
I agree. We sometimes we might need to take the initiative ourselves to learn how to eat healthily and take care of our bodies and better spend our money. I know that when I was trying to learn how to get healthier and eat better, it took a while before I knew how, and I often spent time asking for help and stuff.
I believe that teenagers should be like their own advocates for themselves and their family, because it, in the long run, impacts their health and their family's health and how they eat, like on the weekends, or how they eat on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you, Fabian, and thank you to Sam and Joed. You guys made a good point. And that wraps us up. So to recap, we talked about teenagers and how we interact with their food and our finances in our daily life and what impacts that. And I want to thank our viewers for joining us on this episode, and this is Podcast.